Hey everybody, I'm Nat from Madre Chocolate. Welcome to Stay Home at Chocolate, straight out of Hawaii. Even though we're in Hawaii where we grow these beautiful cacao pods, we're going to be talking for a little bit about traditional Mexican and Mesoamerican chocolate drinks like tejate, tascalate, and bupu, which in addition to regular cacao have a bunch of other interesting ingredients, including the jaguar cacao. That's this crazy giant pod, another species of cacao with white seeds. That makes what some people call the original white chocolate. We'll be talking about rosita de cacao, which is this incredible flower spice from Oaxaca that I call the gold dress of spices because it smells different to everybody. We have achiote or anato or lipstick plant that's used as a red dye in chocolate drinks. And it was the original lipstick was just this and cocoa butter. And plumeria flowers that are in a very rare Oaxacan chocolate drink from Juchitan called bupu that we'll be making. Of course, chilies and allspice you probably know well. And if you want to try some of these at home, you can get our chocolate de mesa, our rosita de cacao, our jaguar cacao, and our chipotle allspice bars on our online shop at madrechocolate.com/shop.html. And if you use the discount code STAYHOME2020, you can get 10% off on orders over $20. So those are the bars to look for, but you can enjoy all our Hawaiian-grown chocolate as well. So I'll leave these up here. These are kind of the chocolate bar versions of the drinks that we're going to be talking about. But I want to dive in right away with one that I already prepped ahead of time. That is this plumeria flower that is very common in Hawaii. A lot of people associate it with Hawaiian leis that you see it in, but it is actually native to Mexico where it's called flor de mayo. And in one little town in the west coast of Oaxaca, they make this delicious plumeria infused drink called bupu out of it. And it is traditionally, it would be whisked with a molinillo like this, which is used to foam the drinks. And a lot of Mexican drinks, people like to foam their drinks, just like we like a nice froth on our cappuccino. So you can use this to froth it if you have really good technique. You can get some froth going on there. You can see I have a little bit, and then you would scoop that off and just have that you just have that delicious foam in a drink. You're not actually having the drink per se, and it would be served over a corn porridge or gruel called atole. So it's a pretty hearty meal. And it has a really nice, it's just 4 ingredients: the plumeria flowers, cacao, piloncillo sugar, and water, and that's it. Though you have to be very careful about how you prepare it. You have to have no oils in the bowl that you're making it in. You have to, apparently in Juchitan, they say that women only women make the drink there. From one family in the evenings at about 5 o'clock around the Zocalo or town square. And they're very proud of the foam that they can get on their chocolate, on their bupu, and if they have any trouble getting it to foam, they will call in a pregnant woman who can re-enliven the foam. So that is one of my favorite chocolate drinks, and if you have plumeria flowers growing near you, you can make it. Though the plumeria flower the latex from that and any of the twigs or leaves are toxic, so you don't want to use anything but the flower. So it involves the fresh and dried plumeria flowers in there. Then the next drink I want to talk about is our tejate, which is found in Oaxaca City, which I call the Mecca of chocolate, because every street corner has a different chocolate grinder, or mole maker, or a different kind of drink made from chocolate. You'll see stuff like champorrado, which is just a fairly simple cacao, corn, and cinnamon drink, to very complex things like tejate, which involves this rosita de cacao flower, which I have only found in Oaxaca and Chiapas, although it can be, we're trying to grow it here in Hawaii a little bit. But they have this incredible smell. They're called rosita de cacao or cacahuachoxitl in the Nahuatl, which means flower of the cacao, but it is not the same species as cacao. It is in the same very large family that also includes durian and hibiscus. So we think it's called rosita de cacao because it is involved in making drinks, because of its association with cacao, not because of the botanical relation of the two families. Because they look a little bit more like little hibiscus flowers with these tiny little white petals. My lovely camera assistant here is trying to help me with the lighting so you can see that a little better. Does that work? And you can let me know if there's any questions. Feel free to pose any questions on there. So I call it the gold dress of spices because some people smell fenugreek, some people smell curry powder, some people smell maple syrup. I've even heard citrus or what else? Celery seed. People claim they smell. So it's a really interesting spice, rosita de cacao. So that will go into this drink, and I have a pot of water here. I'm just going to turn on the heat a little bit. You have to make these hot to melt all the chocolate in there, but then you want to cool them before you try to foam them. So this is another one that I made ahead of time, and I ground some of the rosita flowers. Has a pretty intense smell, filling up the room. What did you say it smelled like earlier when I took this out? Ramen or something? It is a very kind of savory taste. It's not quite like the sweet spices we're used to, like cinnamon or allspice or anything like that. So I'm going to put a little bit of that in there. Then we're going to put some chocolate in as well. This is locally grown chocolate that we made. And so this already has a little bit of sugar in it, and I just want to get it hot enough to melt that chocolate in there. Then, of course, we have the jaguar cacao. So this is another species that is Theobroma bicolor. In Spanish it's called cacao del jaguar or cacao blanco because it has these totally white seeds and a much woodier kind of shell. You can hear how much woodier that is than regular cacao. So some people call it the original white chocolate. It has no bitterness. It doesn't need to be fermented to be mellow. It tastes almost like marzipan or almond butter when it's made into bars. And we make a bar with just the jaguar and the regular cacao swirled together. That's that bar right there, which we're out of stock right now because it's sold out at the Craft Chocolate Experience a couple weeks ago in California, but we'll make some of this in the next week or so. The jaguar, when you grind it into bars, it has this very light color. No bitterness. It's almost like eating a almond or marzipan bar. So we're going to put some of that into this soon-to-be boiling water. And in Mayan mythology, they consider the cacao to be the female, and the jaguar cacao male in the tejate drink. And in South America, this would be called macambo, usually, if you're in Brazil or Ecuador or Peru. And down there, they mainly just have it as a snack where they crack open the fruit and peel off the fruit pulp from it, which tastes a little bit more like durian than cacao fruit, and then they will toast the seeds, maybe with a little bit of salt as a snack. I've seen some places like Imlakesh Organics sells the toasted macambo seeds. However, in Central America, in Mexico and Guatemala, they put it into these chocolate drinks, and there it's called pataste in the Aztec language, Nahuatl, or balamte in Mayan. So this is a plant with many names: jaguar cacao, cacao del jaguar, cacao blanco, pataste, balamte, macambo, so it's a little hard to find. But I believe we're the only people in the U.S. who make a bar with this right now. And then, in addition to the rosita, the jaguar cacao, and the regular chocolate, this would normally have mame seeds in it. Mame sapote is a very famous Mexican fruit. Kind of looks like a giant mango, and it has pulp that is very popular in Latin America. It tastes kind of like spiced pumpkin pie. One of my favorite fruits. And if you crack open the seed, it has this incredible smell of almonds or marzipan, and that is because it is loaded with cyanide. So I usually don't include that in my tejate recipe because it takes a lot of technique and several steps to process it to remove the cyanide. But the Mesoamericans have figured out a way to remove that seed, the cyanide from the seed, and still keep that delicious bitter almond smell by roasting it and drying it and grinding it and boiling it and drying it again. So it's quite a lengthy process, so I haven't succeeded in making any bars from that. But you could include a little bit of almond extract in your bar if you wanted to into your drink, if you wanted to simulate that flavor. Also wanted to talk about how chocolate is traditionally ground. It would be done on a metate, which is like a flattened version of a mortar and pestle. This is a molcajete, another version of a mortar and pestle from Mexico that will work too for grinding chocolate. So usually the nibs that you've extracted from the cacao bean after several steps of fermenting and drying and aging, you'll roast and crack the shell off of these till you have just the nib there. And you put those in a pan, in a grinder like this, with whatever spices you want to use. Maybe in this one we'll use the lipstick plant, or achiote, which has these beautiful red seeds that have this deep pigment. Let's see if I can get any of the pigment off on that. If you add a little bit of water, you can see how quickly that red pigment comes off. And in some of the Mexican drinks, like tascalate from the other side of the country, from Vera Cruz, they include this cinnamon and cacao and sugar in a drink that turns it bright red, so they can kind of feel like they're drinking the blood of their sacrifice victims while they're having a nice drink of chocolate. Are there any questions from any of you out there viewing? Yeah. So I'm gonna put a bunch of these in here with the cacao to give it a nice red color. A little bit of allspice, which is another native Central American spice. Things like cinnamon and clove are actually originally from Asia, although they are found quite frequently in chocolate these days, in like a chocolate de mesa drinking chocolate. So it's kind of taken over as a popular spice there, almost superseding the native spices like allspice. Just kind of stir this while it's going and see if I can get a good grind on these. If you don't have a mortar and pestle or you don't have the patience, you can always use a coffee grinder to grind your cacao nibs, but you do have to do it in small amounts. You don't want to do it too long because it will start to release the cocoa butter in there quite quickly, and it will turn into a sludge, which can break, or a paste, I should say. Sludge sounds too derogatory, but a paste that is quite tasty. But it can break your coffee grinder if you're not careful and you do it too much. And a friend of mine in grad school, another ethnobotanist, has got a grant from the Gates Foundation to study some plants that act as anti-malarials, and he found that the achiote and the cacao in the tascalate drink were both pretty good anti-malarials, so you can have a delicious red spiced chocolate drink while you're staving off the malaria. So I'm not as good as many of the Mesoamericans at grinding this by hand. It would probably take me a couple more hours to get this into a paste, but you can see it's releasing a lot of the red color in the red seeds, and starting to turn into a powder at least. So I'm gonna throw this in my coffee grinder instead. Get it a little quicker. Might want to do this at home if you're trying to make this quickly. Or you can just get one of our bars, like the Rosita, or Chocolate de Mesa bar if you want to recreate this at home. We don't have any with the achiote in it currently. So I'm just going to put it in the coffee grinder here for a few seconds. And let's see how it's looking. So first, starts turning into a powder, like that. If I keep going, you'll probably hear the sound of it change as the cocoa butter is released from the nibs and starts going into the paste. I want a little bit of sugar in here too, because this is going to be pretty bitter in this form. But I just heard the sound of it change, and now it's starting to solidify. You can see it's coming out in solid chunks. So this is pretty good, and I can throw that in my cup and pour some hot water over it. And the Mesoamericans didn't really have, in pre-Columbian times, didn't have any kind of sugar or sweetener to speak of except honey. So they would just use, instead, they had very occasionally they had honey from native Mexican bees. They did not have the European honeybee. So I'm going to add a little bit of our local Hawaiian honey to my drink to simulate that flavor. And then as soon as my water boils, I'm going to have a nice tasty cup of tascalate there. And so the tejate is blended pretty well. Most of the chocolate has melted in there. Just want to stir that up. And then you want to let it cool, which I did beforehand with this batch. Is that on camera? More or less. And then I can get out my molenillo and try to foam this. See how well I do. And the foaming agent in this, we're not adding anything like plumeria or the mame seed, so hopefully we have enough cocoa butter that acts as a foaming agent in here. But I'm definitely not a pro at this, so if you want to do this at home, you can use one of the cappuccino frothers as a sort of shortcut. So let's see how this works. So yeah, it's starting to get a reasonable foam on there with this, because it's a lot faster and better than I am. And then we can kind of scoop off that foam and just have that in our drink. You can use sieve like this to only get the foam. If that's what you want. Although this you can eat all of, because this doesn't have anything toxic in it. So I'm just gonna have some of the tejate foam. Yeah, it's really nice with the mix of the cacao and the jaguar cacao and the rosita to give it a really good spice. This is gonna do really nice on this cold late winter day in Hawaii. I was wearing a sweater earlier, believe it or not. It's the same temperature outside as inside here in Hawaii. So that's the tejate. Just waiting for my water to boil to make the tascalate with the rosita, the achiote lipstick plant and the regular cacao and honey. Again, if you want to get a 10% discount on orders for our bars, help support small business, you can go to madrechocolate.com and go to our shop, where we have a lot of these chocolate bars available, plus many Hawaiian-grown ones. And you can use the code STAYHOME2020 to get that 10% discount, and we'll ship anywhere in the U.S., anywhere in the world, actually. We're happy to send our chocolate to you in Europe, Japan, South America. All right, my water is boiling, so I'm ready to pour that into my cup here to get a nice steaming mug of tejate. And probably should have added a little bit more of the achiote flowers to get it a little deeper red color. That'll still be really tasty. And make me feel like I'm in warm Mexico. the Vera Cruz coast. So let's see how this tastes. Yummy. It's really good with the honey. So I hope you enjoyed my chat, and stay tuned. We'll be posting more sales and updates and new flavors and farm origins. We have chocolate from Kona, Oahu, 21 degrees and 9 fine minas. We have a lot of Cocoa of Excellence award-winning chocolates. We have our triple cacao bar that has the cacao fruit pulp in it from the fresh cacao pods. That's one of our it is our most award-winning chocolate bar. And we have our coconut ginger bar, which is our most popular. Let me grab one of those so you can see our new packaging as well. There's our coconut ginger bar. Definitely worth picking up one of those. And that just won a Good Food Award recently. So thanks for tuning in. Tune in to all the other chocolate makers. Great Stay Home with Chocolate Instagram live episodes. And hope to be seeing you again soon. In person, hopefully in the near future. Take care.